good morning, good afternoon, and good night. So I realized that what I've been doing with these videos is I'm vlogging. It just kind of hit me. That's what I'm doing. I'm vlogging. And so I don't know how consistently I do it. I typically do it on days when it's just myself and Simon, or if I'm in the gym and I have opportunity to just kind of talk freely and not have to be distracted. But I guess I'll start vlogging and try to come up with some different content and some different ideas so that hopefully just continue to give people a good word that will hopefully make it easier for them to get through their day or help them power through their day. So this is what I want to talk about today. And it's a play on words. I don't know if it's the best play on words, but I'm gonna just put it out there. Look for inspiration over motivation, right? Look for inspiration over motivation. And hopefully my stories will make sense, will make this thing make sense. There's a speaker, an inspirational speaker by the name of Enki Johnson, all right? And Enki Johnson was a football player for the University of Tennessee, and he got a devastating injury that left his right side of his body paralyzed. And I think he was actually right-handed. So he gets paralyzed on the right side of his body. His right arm is paralyzed. And he was on his way to being a professional football player in the NFL. And in one hit, everything stopped. And so through the process of understanding how this devastating hit, the millions that he was going to make, the notoriety, all the things that he could have done as a professional NFL player making millions of dollars, all of that stopped because of one devastating hit. So he had to work through that. He had to work through regaining his strength. He had to go through tons of surgeries to kind of, hopefully protect his arm and hopefully regain strength in his arm, but none of those things ever happened. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of complications that take place when you get hit so hard that some part of your body stops working. I'm sure there's a ton of work that needs to be done in order to kind of put that person back together so they can function. But on top of being right-handed, now he has to become left-handed, on top of dealing with the reality that now his football dreams have kind of gone up in smoke. And to understand that now I am going to live a different life than I did before. You know what I'm saying? When you have had access, complete access, and all of a sudden that access has been taken away, it can have a mental impact. It can have a huge impact on you mentally and psychologically, emotionally, and so on and so forth. And some people can be scarred by that and then never ever recover. Never ever recover. And there are some people like Enki who said, okay, cool. You took this away from me. Because you took this away from me, I'm sure I'm being strengthened in some other way, right? So he has a relationship with God. I know this by way of listening to him. And I'm pretty sure he said, because you've taken this away from me, then surely you're strengthening me in some other area of my life. Or maybe I had to get very far in football and be on the brink of millions through an NFL contract. I had to have that taken away from me so that I can be given my story. Now, if I can power through this process, if I can power through my trials and tribulations, my struggles, the surgery, if I can power through all of this, I'm going to have an incredible story that I'm going to tell other people. And by way of that, I'm going to get everything that I would have got through the NFL, if not more. I'm going to say that again. I'm guessing, from listening to him talk, I'm guessing he understood that he had to get very far through hard work to get to being an NFL prospect, right? As a player for Tennessee football. He then had to get so close and then get injured to be given a story that he can now give to millions. Because the reality is, if he was an NFL football player, he might still have a story, but he'd probably be more focused on becoming a veteran. Seeing if he can stay in the league for 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 years. Seeing if he can somehow parlay that career into maybe going into the media or possibly going to the front office. Maybe being the coach, right? So now the process becomes all about him. Yeah, there's going to be some community service. There's going to be some opportunities to engage the people in the community and speak on some stages and whatnot. But because of his story and because he was basically put in a position where he can no longer play football, he had no choice but to figure out a way to turn this story into something that would be an advantage for someone else. And so now he talks to, what I'm guessing, probably millions every year. Thousands every night, millions every year. But would he have done that had he been focusing more on, I gotta get stronger, I gotta get faster, I gotta work on my hands, I gotta work on whatever position he played and all of the requirements that it takes to now play that position? I wonder if he'd have been more focused on that than the story, or that or focusing on his craft that will help him to reach millions. So that's Enki Johnson's story, right? So here's a guy that I follow. Here's a guy that I like. He's got a cool voice. His pace, the way that he talks, he has a certain style that I even sometimes adopt a little bit, right? You know, if you admire somebody and somebody's an inspiration to you, I think it's quite all right to kind of steal a little bit from them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at what Kobe did. Kobe took Mike's entire game and has become the closest thing to Mike in a lot of ways. He almost took his spirit. You know what I'm saying? They say Kobe, he answers questions, he chews his gum and walks like Mike. Right? Because he took his spirit, not just his game, he took his spirit. He wanted the essence of Mike. So I'm not taking all of that from Enki, but I do take some of his stuff from him. I like the way that he has this way about him where he might say one concept, but he might say it in 3 or 4 different ways, because he's trying to he's probably trying to get that message across to multitudes of people. So he might say one thing and he may say it 3 different ways. He might give you 3 different examples so that he gives everybody an opportunity to get the message. So I kind of do that a little bit myself. I don't know where he's from. I think he's from Virginia. I'm not sure, but he got a little New York in him when he talk, right? And ever since I was younger, I always wanted to talk like I was from New York. I want the New York accent, you know, listen to all that East Coast rap, and now it impacted me in that way. So I try to take a couple things from him. My message is, I use him as inspiration, not as motivation. Motivation is temporary. Motivation can sometimes take a different turn. Sometimes you look at people who are doing incredible things and you start to judge yourself, measure yourself with them. Or sometimes you become so enamored by what somebody else does that it takes a different turn, and all of a sudden now you become envious, maybe even jealous of their success. But I choose to be inspired by him, meaning it's an eternal thing. I look at what he does and think to myself, I can do the same thing. You know, the reality is, Enki Johnson talks to thousands a night. He talks to millions a year. But he can't talk to everybody. So there got to be somebody that I can talk to. See, a lot of times we get so caught up in what everybody else is doing that we think that they got the whole market. We think that they got the entire market. This one person has the entire market. I have no clue how many people exist in the United States, and I have no clue how many people exist throughout the world. But there's no way he can talk to all of them. And with social media and with technology, there's a lot of people that we can reach. So instead of looking at him and saying, man, look at what he's doing, I can never do that because, man, this man's rocking and rolling. He's talking to thousands a night and millions a year. Who's going to be left for me to talk to? Now realizing that there's schools, there's companies, there's nonprofit organizations, there's organizations for profit. There's tons of people out there that haven't heard him that would love to hear you. You look at spaghetti sauce, right? Spaghetti sauce. You go to the grocery store, Ragu has, I'm going to probably at least 10 to 15 different types of spaghetti sauce, right? But there's other companies that decided to do spaghetti sauce just like Ragu. So what I'm saying is they didn't look at Ragu and say, man, they got the market. Nobody's gonna if nobody's gonna want to eat our spaghetti sauce because they're eating Ragu. So what's the point? What's the point of even putting these potatoes and crushing these tomatoes and putting these herbs and these spices and putting this stuff out there? What's the point? Ketchup, mustard, potato chips, soda, candy, chocolate. Hershey's got it. Hershey's got the market. What's the point? Why even try? Just because somebody that you admire, somebody that you're aware of is doing something doesn't mean that, and they're successful at it, doesn't mean that we should be so motivated and so like, so we should look at it and say, well, if they're doing this, then there's no way that I can do it because they're on the grand stage. Here's my product, it's in my hand. That product is in the store. Here's my product, it's in my hand. That product, that's the commercial for that product. Instead, say, if they can get their product in the store, if they can get their product on TV, so can I. Let me be inspired by these people. Let me be inspired by these people. Let me figure out what the manifesto. Let me read up on these people. Let me see what that magic moment was that allowed for that product to now get to the stores and get to the major brands and get to the major buyers and eventually get on TV. And whose hand did they put their product in that said, yeah, I'm going to support this. I'm going to endorse this. I'm going to make sure that I tell everybody about this. So I want to encourage everybody out there that's doing something, that has a genius, that has a passion, that has a purpose, that has a product, that has something to offer. And you see somebody else out there who's doing what you're doing, but doing it on a bigger level. Don't be Jedi mind tricked into believing that it can't be you too. Be inspired. Be inspired. Take a little bit from them. It's okay. Take a little bit from them and then remix it and make it your own. Make it your own, right? And then after you do that, keep cultivating it, keep working on it, keep believing in it. Have the faith, have the vision. Have the vision, have the faith that this is going to become something. Matter of fact, this is something right now. It's something right now. It's worth millions right now. You can't get anybody to pay for it, but you still got to believe that it's worth millions. You can't get anybody to pay you. Sometimes it's so hard to come up with things and it's so hard to have faith in things because sometimes you can't even give it away. You can't even give it away, but even though you can't give it away, you have to still believe in your heart of heart, this is worth millions. You okay? Simon just took a tumble. But even though you can't give it away, you have to believe that it's worth millions. It's worth millions. And then what happens, you keep believing in it, and all of a sudden, other people start believing in it. You keep believing in it, and all of a sudden, other people start wanting to buy it from you. You start believing in it, and all of a sudden, you keep working on your craft. All of a sudden, people are willing to pay top dollar for it. Now you're getting calls, you're getting emails, you're getting text messages. You don't even know where it's coming from because you believed in it. And then you got to have a vision. You got to see with this thing that you have, you got to see it in totality. When no one else can see it, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstances and conditions are, you got to be able, you have to see what it is you're creating in totality. I did a podcast this morning and talking about faith and the vision, how important vision is. And if you can't see it, it ain't going to happen. But if you can see it in totality, you can see all its dimensions. You can see the building, and you even know like how it's going to look when you pull up into the building and you get into the parking lot, and when you get out your car and you walk into that walkway, what's the first thing you see? What does the receptionist say? What does the receptionist say, or the greeter? What does that person say when they see you, right? And then where do they go sit as they wait in the lobby, right? And where does your office sit? Or who do they talk to next before they get to you? And what does that corridor look like? What does that building look like? What does the staircase look like? What does the escalator look like? What does the elevator look like? What does all these things look like? You got to be able to visualize it and see it. I'm gonna let you go pretty soon. If you ever seen the movie Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy, there's this one scene where they're all they're in like it's not a prison, but some sort of halfway house. They're in a dorm. And Eddie Murphy starts talking about the boom boom room. And the boom boom room was this casino that you could drink, you could gamble, you could dance, and you can be entertained all in this one spot, right? And so he's talking about the boom boom room, and these guys are they're in prison, right? They're in here for life. And so they start to envision the boom boom room based on what Eddie Murphy's talking about, what his character's talking about. So you see, this is great big place. You can be entertained, you can gamble, you can drink. There's beautiful women there. There's beautiful people there. And these guys start saying, well, I love to cook. Could I cook for the boom boom room? And then one other guy says, man, I like to entertain. You think I can entertain at the boom boom room? And the other guy says, man, I like to sing. Man, you think I could sing at the boom boom room? I could be the host, man. I could be the hostess with the mostest. Another guy says, man, I like to gamble. You think I could run the crap table, man? Let me run the crap table. So all these guys start talking about all the things that they could do at the boom boom room. But the part of it, the story that I want to make important is that because of the vision, they all started to, this world became very real to them. And you got to have that type of vision in order to see your dreams come to fruition. And that being said, when you see people out there doing it and doing it on a big level and doing it on a high level and getting the money and having the house and the car and the spouse and everything else, and you sitting there and you don't have any of that, or you got maybe a fraction of that, it's cool. Be inspired. Be inspired and say, listen, everybody that's eating chocolate, they all can't eat Hershey's chocolate. Somebody got to eat my chocolate. That clothes design, everybody wearing those clothes. Well, guess what? Not everybody wearing those clothes. Some of those people got to wear my clothes. And when I hear Enki Johnson speaking to thousands a night, millions a year, I say, Enki, you can't talk to all of them, dog. You can't talk to all of them. Somebody got to talk to me. Somebody got to listen to me. Somebody got to hear Mar Fox. Somebody got to hear Flight. Having the clarity to live the life driven by purpose with the clarity that with the perspective that everything is necessary to a fulfillment. They got to hear become, dream, declare, commit, succeed, and success is your next breath. Somebody got to listen to me. Because guess what? It's somebody out there that's just like me. And they've been waiting. They've been waiting to hear me talk. They've been waiting to see me get on. So they be like, man, that dude makes so much sense to me. The same way that Enki Johnson makes sense to me, I know I make sense to somebody else. And because of that, I'll keep rocking and rolling. I'll keep getting after it. And every single day, I'll keep getting up. I'll keep my faith and keep improving my vision. And I'll keep seeing my vision. I'll keep seeing my destiny in great detail. And I just keep adding on to it. I keep adding on to it until one day it becomes real. So everybody out there that you think is dope, don't judge them. Don't come after. Don't judge them, and don't get so caught up in their life that you can't, you get distracted about your vision and the faith that you need to take everything that's up in here and put it here. That makes sense? I hope so. This is one of my vlogs. I won't say it's vlog number 1, but it's one of them. Thank you for everybody that decided to check in with me and watch me for a little bit. Saw the spit flying. It's all good. That was the passion coming out. But with that being said, I'm done. Y'all be good. Y'all be good. And if you ever want to see what this dude's name is, his name is Enki Johnson. Enki Johnson. If you go to my Instagram page, I even have a couple of his clips on there. And I don't know if he's on, I know he's on Instagram. I know he's on Twitter. I don't know if he's on Facebook. But Enki Johnson, the brother, is dope. He inspires me. But that's where it stops. He doesn't intimidate me. He just inspires me that it can be done. Y'all take care. Mar Fox Jr. Done.